Alright guys, Sadcrab here back again today. Day 2 of CDL Minnesota is over. So many key storylines to talk about here. Some great matches honestly last night. I think the spectating experience was much better on the second day than the first. We had all these issues about third person and for some reason looking behind other players. They were better about putting the scoreboard up on screen. Definitely some more steps that we can take that I'll discuss over the coming week and things to really improve on the viewing experience. But I do think it was better last night to those of you who tuned in. Tonight of course kicks off in a few hours time from now. I'll leave the links to that in the pinned comment I guess below. Let's hop right into the recap of yesterday then. So like if you guys enjoy, I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new as always. Firstly, this from Clayster. Alright, pro players, who was it? Online Shotzi. Someone named themselves like this just to take the, because of course Shotzi had that poor performance yesterday in the domination. And it wasn't much better today as we'll talk about in the very end of the video when Dallas came up against Atlanta FaZe. But plenty more matches to talk about before we got to there. Then we have this, so the first matchup of course was Royal Ravens versus the Subliners. This really was a grudge match, and I'll show you a couple of clips in a second here from this game because Rated does not get along particularly well with Trey Zero Morris, who of course is on the other side on the New York Subliners now, and Scrap said that, he told himself there's no way he's losing this game. They don't get along particularly well with Tem either, so really a grudge match. And honestly, London came out with a stonking performance here on, this Hackney Yard domination, telling people, to shoot the other guys' bodies. Also on Piccadilly Search and Destroy as well, pretty much crushed it. So, I'll just show you a couple clips.
Astro listening with the Royal Ravens.
Help these guns' bodies. Help these guns' bodies.
I team Mike.
Every life, help these guns' bodies. Every single life, help these guns' bodies.
Go and see him.
Every single time. Help these guns' bodies. Stay down. Everyone chill. Every time, shoot their body. Every single fucking time. Every single time. Absolute top L, and top 2 top L.
We've not seen any of that through the first half, and through this.
Hey,
Dylan. Whoa. I see you, Dylan.
Put that back in your pants, young man.
25 and 21.
Uh-oh. It was a 1v3, now it's a 1v2. Waskins, how much more has he got in this night? If Attach peaks, gets a little eager, he's going down, but he has to watch out though, because Zero is on his right-hand side.
Oh no.
He finds the ankle, but it's not enough. Can he clean up the kill, or is he going to get baited out? Zero snipes there as well. 1v1, Waskins, can you go all the way?
He's got the time to do it. 20 seconds left. Zero versus Waskins, the snipers for each team. He spots him, but Zero's jiggle peeking perfectly. Throws out the equipment, and with 12 seconds left, the fight spree comes in, and Wuskin.
So this was the final scoreboard, 250-150 in the first. Hardpoint 6-2, 216-128. And honestly, Wuskin just dominated this series. Good performances all round for the Royal Ravens, but Wuskin over all 3 modes just absolutely crushed it. Definitely the MVP of the series. And the New York Subliners honestly could not get close. So really cool to see from the Royal Ravens. Definitely rearing up nicely for the London event in just a couple of weeks' time, where hopefully they'll be able to go the distance and potentially win in front of the home crowd. That would be awesome to see. Definitely a really strong looking squad right now. Of course, we don't really get to see much how the New York Subliners are looking on LAN. Of course, they've got another game tonight, so keep an eye out for that. Also wanted to mention this. So afterwards, Doug sent to Martin. So the Royal Ravens did a tweet. Shout out to New York for ignoring the chat and making our lives a little easier. So the chat was saying, like, let's censor play and this sort of stuff. And Padaman at Royal Ravens was like, yeah, shout out for making our lives a little easier by not putting Doug in. Kind of, going on board of the joke of Doug not being too good at the game. So Center then goes back with, last I checked, you'll never won a single championship, but who's counting? Rated says that you won't be winning a single title and we'll get cozy on that bench. And then Doug says, you can't talk to me, which is kind of funny. He since deletes those tweets. As a balls response, Doug killed it, brother. Yeah, just wanted to mention that really quick. Go through a couple of matches as well here. So Toronto Ultra versus the Seattle Surge also happened yesterday. Firstly, a really interesting game once again. Seattle Surge, their search and destroy right now is not looking good at all. They lost both searches yesterday to the Mutineers. Once again today, they lose both searches. Their respawn looks pretty good on the whole. The first map, honestly, I thought Toronto Ultra was going to have it. Cammy was going off, but towards the end of the series, Methods turned up big time. 100 kills total, 103 on the side of Octane, but this was really the issue with this Seattle squad. Their respawn looked decent, but the slaying power just isn't there so much. And yeah, in Search and Destroy, it just wasn't looking pretty. Like, Enable and Slacked in the Search and Destroys. Enable's back to his World War II ways in Search and Destroy. Like, not pretty at all. They lose in the round 11, somewhat unfortunate, but still, 2 Game 5 losses for the Seattle Surge on the weekend. Not ideal for them. They really need to hit the, the practice ranks in Search and Destroy to get better at it, because that is their key weakness right now. Once again, the similar goes, the series goes exactly the same way as against the Mutineers. So be interested to hear your thoughts down on that down below. And then we have another Game 5 here from the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Very interesting game. Mutineers take an early lead. Then the Search and Destroy out of Guerrillas are looking really pretty good. Win the S&D, and then they, go all the way to a Game 5. The respawns are pretty close on the course of it, but, they end up winning it in the end. Mutineers, decent performances on the whole from Morks and Skies especially, but yeah, it was really just the Search and Destroy prowess of the Guerrillas. Right in that final map, it was really interesting. The Guerrillas threw away the map 4. I'll probably share the clip on screen. And then in the Search and Destroy, they were down like 2-4 or something like that. But they really brought it back. Decimate at the end was the key standout in the Search and Destroy. 1.3 KD over the course of it. At least for that a good series as well. But Decimate really won on that series at the end there. And of course, there's all the controversy about yesterday's forfeit, which I will talk about in coming days, because it's a pretty big deal, the state of the game right now, and the issues with domination, and the reason for that forfeit the Los Angeles Guerrillas suffered yesterday in their first matchup. So, yeah, wanted to go into that, and yeah, we'll just move on from this series then. So, let's get into the real juicy stuff. So I went through these matches kind of quick because the big ones, I guess, are this OpTic Gaming versus Paris Legion, and then Dallas versus Atlanta, which we'll talk about in a second. So here we go then, OpTic versus Paris. Wanted to go through each map individually. Wanted to say firstly, I haven't said it yet, but these scoreboards, courtesy of Cam Allen and Horizontal, absolutely beautiful stuff they're putting together right now. All this is tracked manually, so they're going through every single game, tallying up every single kill, because right now you can't see the scoreboards as you would like to, right? Which it really isn't ideal, but fantastic job from those guys. And yeah, putting together these marvelous looking scoreboards for us to enjoy. So greatly appreciate it if you go down and follow those guys down in the comment section below. You can see these guys all through the matchups as well, or you see these, the scoreboards coming out all through the matchups as well, which I'm sure you'll appreciate. So yeah, first map, really interesting. Super close game. Finishes the scoreboard at 250 to 236 in the end. Really, really close. Came down to the wire. And one thing to mention that Kenny is now going by Quavo, which I didn't even know that's how you're going to pronounce it, but he's completely rebranded himself. Personally, I preferred Kenny. So whatever. And Crimsix is also using C6, but I think he still wants to be called Crimsix. Interesting scenario. He has a decent map 1, but really the standout here was Shox and Dens. Really cool to see these Aussie duos just going at it, especially Shoxman on like a crazy 10 streak here. It's really cool to see, Shox has finished school now, he's finished university, he can finally commit to Call of Duty full time. Always been a great talent, and Paris Legion definitely probably an underrated squad, right? We didn't really know what was going to happen coming in. Second map though, OpTic Gaming crush it in the Search and Destroy. Slasher goes off here on Arklov Peak, and really Paris Legion couldn't get particularly close to them. But, first blood either side quite often, but, OpTic would bounce back a lot from the Paris Legion first bloods to end up winning the round. So, impressive stuff from OpTic there, but then in the domination, Paris Legion win it. And Slasher wasn't too happy about some of the spawns that happened. Probably talk about some of the issues in coming days, with some of the issues on the spawns, and, not like Slasher had the prettiest game either, but effectively there was a situation where they were holding down C and B flag, trying to trap Paris Legion in around A, and it didn't look like they were pushing up too far. It seemed reasonably that Paris Legion had still been spawning back there in spawn, but instead they spawned out behind OpTic Gaming and shot them in the back and helped win the rotation and take this map. So yeah, really close matchup in the end. I'm still not sold on domination. Neither is Doug, as we'll look at in a second here, but they do bounce back in the hard points. Of really close games. Honestly, some impressive stuff coming out from either side. And here, Zed doesn't necessarily have the best map, and no one particularly goes off on the side of OpTic. Just some clutch plays to win map 4. And then game number 5, though, Paris Legion do manage to take it, despite losing that search, their first Search and Destroy in pretty comfortable fashion. They do manage to take this one, and Kismet goes off on this final map, 13-4, to help take the victory. So OpTic start off on a losing way. As I've said, these matches aren't particularly important. It's 10 CDL points in it. When it comes to the tournament format in the next few weeks, then we'll see, where teams start to shape up in terms of the rankings. But a big win for Paris Legion, to be honest. Kismet really, flexed his muscles here, and all the players were showing great talent over the course of the series. And Luca didn't even really have to do much, and, over the course of it, hopefully we will see that really hotly anticipated Aussie talent take full effect. And yeah, Shox and Kismet just dominating the series. Interesting to see, with all the talent on Los Angeles OpTic, they just couldn't get it done. And Center isn't particularly happy with domination in this game right now either. Let's go on to this final series then. Atlanta FaZe versus the Dallas Empire. Dallas do not have the best weekend at all. Yes, they play Chicago, they play Atlanta. Not ideal by any means in terms of a schedule, but look, it's not pretty, and this map Simp really just shows what he's made of. Like, he dominated it in Priester as well. Simp in this series was just phenomenal. Yes, Dallas had a decent start to the map. they brought it back towards the end. I'm pretty sure this is one Azir Cave, and I think some frustrations going around here, and I think we'll see some tweets from Clayster and Crimsix in a second. Then in the Search and Destroy, it just wasn't even close. Simp 7-1, Celium 6-2, Major Maniac 6-1. Like, no one got close on the side of Dallas Empire, and you know, we can really see how dominant this team is right now on the side of Atlanta FaZe. And then in the domination as well, a pretty comfortable victory. Simp goes double positive. Like, this guy is something else, and really intriguing to see. Like, you know, Illy has a great map as well at 34-26, who pretty much does nothing this game, but it's going to be really interesting to see this Simp versus Illy battle over the course of the season, given they've been the two, like, upcoming startups for so many years now, to see how they go head to head. Obviously, here it wasn't particularly close, but I do think the Dallas Empire will improve throughout the season. So, yeah, this is the final scoreboard. Atlanta FaZe take it pretty comfortably, lot to work on for Dallas Empire, and Crimsix and Clayster not particularly happy. The cave was so demoralizing. GG's. Proud of how Antoninda, so I guess this is Chotzi and Illy played for their first ever major COD LAN. Thank God it wasn't a tournament. We just got to prepare for London. This is what Clayster says, you know, played awful this weekend, got to buckle back up and, you know, buckle back down, I guess, and work on my craft. Can't be having poor performances like that consistently. I do think they'll bounce back, but, you know, because of the trashing and stuff they've been talking, it's pretty, I'm sure it's satisfying to some fans to see them fall short. This is what I wanted to finish with then, just before we go into it. Clayster, or Crimsix even, not particularly happy with Infinity Ward in the recent patch. To some degree, it's an excuse. Obviously, if he'd have won, he probably wouldn't have come out and said this, but at the same time, he does have a fair point.
Marcus, I'm not doing one of these after match, ever. Yeah. Alright, I feel like talking now. IW, you guys put out a patch in under 2 weeks before an event. I strongly urge that we do not play on it. I know that this one fixed everything, but in other esports, like, to do what we did is considered a joke. So, IW, get your shit together, because it sucks. I mean, it's not even IW, it's been like every single year we've had a patch before a major event, like 3 or 4 times every single year.
So 8 says, let them know, Crim, they need to be held accountable every single year. Why even grind if stuff gets changed before an event 50% of the time? Might have to adopt the Paddy P method if those devs keep waiting until the very last moment. The Paddy P method, as we talked about on Spitfire a couple of days ago, is apparently Los Angeles Guerrillas were barely even scrimming, given the fact that they thought the game was going to be changing, so they didn't really bother scrimming on it. They continuously get away with it. It's unacceptable. So, you know, they dropped a massive patch before the event. As Crimsix says, a lot of the changes were positive, but at the same time, it's a pretty huge overhaul, and Domination right now is not in the best state it could be. I think Adam Apicella did a tweet at Aches, you know, talking about Domination going back and forth. They're not very happy with it. Probably a video this week I'll discuss whether Domination is fit for competitive. Honestly, I don't really mind it too much. It may not be the best to watch, but in terms of new viewers coming in, at least they can associate with Domination in a way and maybe get into more competitive on the whole. Intrigued to hear your thoughts down below on this one, on all the matches that happened today. Dallas versus Atlanta, I guess, is the big one, but also OpTic Gaming getting that upset loss to the Paris Legion as well. More matches tonight. Hope you guys will tune in for them. OpTic versus Chicago, again, it's a big one. Chicago got to be big favourites right now, but old OpTic versus new OpTic, that's going to be spicy. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.
With one of my favorites, we got Iggs. Give it up for Iggs. I said give it up. Iggs. You heard this your whole career. This is nothing new, and I just asked you and the rest of the crew, does this actually fuel the fire on this team? How do you handle such negative energy from a crowd?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Minnesota's weak, bro. I've seen so much worse. This is weak. I can't even hear this, but yeah, they get Lacefield riled up. I mean, OpTic fans in 2016 remember that.
You can go all night, guys. It doesn't, you can't shake the vet. You can't shake the vet.
At the end of the day, I'm going back to LA. They got to stay in Minnesota. I'm not too worried about it.